I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I cannot accept not trying. Michael Jordan. Failure is like scratches on a growing tree. They don't kill the tree. Sometimes they just prove that the tree has once battled against storms. In psychological life, failure is the same. It is evidence of action, of people daring to step out of their comfort zone to test themselves against the vast world. A person who fails has at least once ventured forth, but a person who doesn't try is like a ship that has never left the harbor. The hull remains intact, but the soul of the voyage has never existed. Results may be beyond human control. Circumstances, timing, luck, even the randomness of life. But effort is entirely a matter of will. When a person refuses to try, they not only miss the chance for success, they also close the door to their own development. Psychology shows that the deepest regret people feel is often not, "I failed," but "if only I had tried." When we accept that failure is a natural part of the journey, fear loses its controlling power. What remains is only action. And it is in that action that people find their dignity. Life, after all, does not measure people by the number of times they fall, but by the number of times they have the courage to keep going. Effort thus becomes a declaration of life. It is like a small flame in the dark night. It may not be enough to illuminate the entire sky, but enough to prove that people are still moving forward. And sometimes, that small flame is the starting point for a great dawn. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Maya Angelou. People do not live by experiences alone, but also by the need to share and be understood. A story kept hidden in the heart is like a letter that was never sent. It still exists, full of emotions, but trapped in the shadow of silence. When that persists, memories are no longer mere recollections. They become a psychological weight, silently pressing on thoughts and emotions. Everyone carries stories within. Unfulfilled dreams, unhealed wounds, moments of love left unspoken. When those stories are not told, they are like water blocked behind a dam. At first, it's just silence, but over time the pressure builds, making the mind heavy, sometimes turning into profound loneliness. For telling a story is not just the act of speaking. It is how people release emotions, reorganize memories, and find meaning in what they have gone through. The greatest pain is not when we fail or stumble, but when we live an entire life and the deepest things in our hearts have never been heard. A story told is like opening a window in a room long sealed. Fresh air rushes in, light filters through the dark corners, and people begin to breathe more easily. When we dare to tell our story, we not only free ourselves from silence, we also give our experiences a meaning. And sometimes that seemingly very personal story becomes a small light guiding another soul lost in the darkness. Life will give you whatever you have the courage to ask for. Oprah Winfrey. Life is not an automatic banquet serving every dish to us. It is like a vast market where each person must step forward, speak up, and express their needs. Silence is sometimes not humility, but an invisible form of self-limitation we impose on our own lives. Desire only truly has power when it is transformed into action. A dream kept hidden in the heart is like a seed stored in a drawer. It has potential, but it will never sprout if not placed in soil and light. Asking here is not just direct words. It is an attitude toward life, daring to ask for an opportunity, daring to negotiate for one's value, daring to say what one needs, and daring to stand up for one's dreams. When people have enough courage to do that, they send a clear signal to the world, I believe I am worthy. Life often responds in a subtle way. It opens doors for those who knock. Not every request is met immediately, but the act of asking itself changes people's psychological position. From passively waiting, they become active participants in their own life story. And strangely, when we start daring to demand more from life, we also begin to discover more of our own capabilities. Courage is not just facing difficulties. Sometimes courage is simply daring to say what we truly want. For life rarely bestows great things on silence. It often responds to the voices of souls brave enough to step forward and say, this is what I want, and I am ready to strive to achieve it. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. Lance Armstrong. In the journey of human growth, pain often appears like an uninvited guest. It can be physical fatigue, emotional hurt, or the feeling of disappointment when things don't go as expected. Pain is a state, while giving up is a decision. A state can pass like a summer rain, but a decision is like footprints etched in wet sand. It leaves traces for a long time in human memory. Pain, like a silent test of life. It not only measures the endurance of the body, but also challenges the depth of the will. An athlete feels their muscles burning in the final meters. A person pursuing a dream feels exhausted when facing doubt and failure. But all those sensations have one thing in common. They exist for a limited time. The body will recover, emotions will ease, and difficult days will eventually pass like clouds across the sky. In contrast, quitting has an entirely different nature. When a person gives up, what they lose is not just the immediate goal, but also faith in their own abilities. In the mind, giving up easily turns into a lingering question. What if I had tried a little more that day? And it is that question, repeating in the quiet moments of life, that becomes the longest lasting wound. Pain is just a steep section on a long journey. It makes footsteps heavier, breathing more labored, but it does not define the entire trip. When people are persistent enough to pass that steep section, they not only get closer to the goal, but also discover a quiet strength within themselves. And sometimes, the moment of overcoming that pain becomes where human will shines brightest. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards some are strong at the broken places. Ernest Hemingway. This world is not always gentle with people. Everyone at some point in life must go through the invisible cuts of living: betrayal, failure, loss, or shattered dreams. In spiritual life, a wound is like a crack in the wall of the soul. At first, it makes us weak, confused, and sometimes feel incomplete. But it is at those cracks that people begin to understand themselves more deeply. They learn to endure, learn to stand up, and more importantly, learn to see the world with a more mature gaze. Like metal tempered in fire, the human soul sometimes only becomes sturdy after passing through the heat of pain. The special thing is, pain does not automatically create strength. Pain is only the raw material of life. True strength appears when people decide not to let the wound turn them bitter or despairing. Instead, they turn it into empathy, resilience, and a deeper ability to understand others. Then, the wound is no longer just a mark of injury, it becomes proof of the growth process. Those who are strong after injury are often not those who have never cried. They are those who have cried, have fallen, have clearly felt their fragility, but still choose to stand up. And right at the place that once hurt the most in the soul, they build the most solid part of themselves. For sometimes, life does not make people strong through ease, but through the very wounds they learn to heal. There is nothing so wasteful as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. Peter Drucker. The biggest problem sometimes lies not in how we do it, but in whether we should do it in the first place. A person rowing a boat with all their strength on a river. They learn to row faster, stronger, even invent a better oar. But if that river is flowing in a direction completely wrong from where they want to go, then every optimization effort only makes them move away from the goal faster. This is a form of productivity trap. People focus too much on improving speed and technique, to the point of forgetting the most basic question: is this really worth doing? Many people spend the whole day handling trivial tasks, responding to endless notifications, attending unnecessary meetings, or pursuing goals that aren't truly their own. They become extremely busy, but that busyness is like a wheel spinning wildly in the air, full of motion but creating no progress. Efficiency in this case only makes the way smoother. True wisdom does not start from doing faster, but from choosing correctly. It is like a gardener knowing to prune unnecessary branches so the tree can focus its energy on the important ones. When we dare to eliminate things not worth doing, our mental energy is freed. And then, efficiency truly has meaning because it is placed in the right place, the right goal. Choose better. For in life, wisdom sometimes lies not in doing more, but in having the courage to say no to things that shouldn't have been started. Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. A quiet but very accurate law of life. What appears easy on the surface is often built from countless hours of silent preparation. An archer standing before the target. The moment the arrow leaves, the bowstring lasts only a fraction of a second, but before that is an entire process. Adjusting posture, keeping steady breath, observing the wind direction, and focusing the entire mind. If that preparation is lacking, the arrow will veer off course no matter how strong the shot. Work in life is the same. Achievements do not arise from momentary inspiration, but from a foundation built step by step, detail by detail. Preparation is not just gathering information or planning. It is also the process of training the mind, building confidence, and reducing fear before challenges. When a person prepares thoroughly, their mind is like a clear map before a long journey. They know where they are going, which paths to avoid, and what to do when facing obstacles. That clarity makes actions more coherent and effective. Interestingly, preparation often happens in silence, unseen by others. Outsiders only see the moment of success and think it's talent or luck. But like a seed that must lie underground for a long time before sprouting, sustainable achievements always start from a patient and meticulous preparation phase. Work efficiency is not something that appears randomly. It is the natural result of deep and conscious preparation. When people invest time in preparation, they are not just building a plan, they are building a solid foundation for success. And on that foundation, all subsequent actions can stand firm and unleash their full power. It is not possible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you have failed by default. A.K. Rowling. Failure is not a sign of a wrong life, but sometimes it is proof of a life fully lived. Like someone walking on a long path not yet mapped. Each step forward carries the possibility of stumbling. But if out of fear of falling we stand still, the journey will never begin. Living too cautiously is like keeping shoes always clean by never stepping out the door. On the surface, it may be safe, but inside, it lacks experience, lacks the necessary collisions for growth. Extreme risk avoidance often does not bring peace, but only creates a silent form of regret, the feeling that life has passed without us truly testing ourselves against it. A strict teacher, forcing people to look back at themselves, to learn, to adjust and develop. Each stumble is a time the mind expands a bit more knowledge about the world and about one's limits. Without those mistakes, people would be like a book never opened existing, but never read. The paradox of life is, to completely avoid failure, we must abandon living boldly. But in doing so, we lose what makes life meaningful: experience, commitment, and the ability to discover ourselves through challenges. Failure is not something to avoid at all costs. It is a natural part of the living process. A worthwhile life is not one without falls, but one with enough courage to walk even knowing that sometimes we will fall. For it is in those falls that people learn to stand up, and in that standing up, they truly live. And once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm's all about. Haruki Murakami. A very profound truth. When people are in the midst of adversity, they do not live by clarity or control, but by survival instinct and an inner strength they themselves did not know they possessed. In the moment of the storm, the mind is like someone lost in a thick rain. We do not see the long road ahead, only able to take small steps to continue existing. There are days we simply try to get through one day. There are nights we are not sure if we have enough strength for tomorrow. And that is why, when the storm passes, memories of how we overcame it are often hazy. For we do not win with a perfect plan, but with countless small decisions. Keep standing up, keep breathing, keep taking one more step. But the true meaning of the storm lies not in the destruction, but in the transformation. Just as the ocean after a raging storm will not be exactly the same as before, the human soul after adversity also changes. Fragile illusions are swept away, revealing a stronger core of the self. We understand pain better, our limits, and also the resilience we never realized before. When stepping out of the storm, the most certain thing is not whether the storm has ended, but that the person has changed. The one who emerges is no longer the naive version of the past. They carry scars, but also a profound maturity. The storm, after all, is not just a challenge of life, it is the forge where people are heated, bent, and reshaped into a stronger version of themselves. Life doesn't get easier or more forgiving, we get stronger and more resilient. Steve Maraboli. A very straightforward truth of existence. The world rarely changes to fit human fragility. It is humans who learn to adapt and grow amid those harshnesses. Life is like a vast mountain range. The mountains do not lower just because the traveler feels tired. The wind does not stop blowing just because we desire a peaceful day. But the miracle lies in this. The traveler after each journey becomes different. Their footsteps are steadier, their breath more enduring, and their eyes understand the path better. What once made them afraid yesterday may today be just a familiar slope. Resilience is not the ability to avoid difficulties, but the ability to absorb and transform them. Each time facing a challenge, the human mind is like a muscle being trained. At first it is painful and tiring, but over time it develops strength it never had before. It is those difficult experiences that expand human endurance, understanding, and courage. Interestingly, when we become stronger, the world seems to change in a strange way. Not because circumstances have become gentler, but because the way we see and face them has changed. Problems that once made us feel crushed now become surmountable challenges. And in that inner change, we realize that true human strength lies not in making life lighter, but in becoming steady enough to pass through its burdens. Life does not need to become softer for us to continue moving forward. What is necessary is inner growth, the thing that turns people from trembling before storms into ones who can stand firm amid tempests. And that process, quiet but persistent, is what makes human strength.